Welcome to News with a View, a Fat Cat production. We are airing live, and my name is John Acosta. I host this program. Today, as I do almost every one of my podcasts, we discuss things that are going on in the news, and I take the news from both the liberal media all the way to the right. And what I can tell you so far, except in very few cases did I find that the information was not the same from each group, with the exception of the one ABC News report. It was a news show. It wasn't a news report. It was an entertainment news. CBS had the same problem. Fox had the same problem. They were sued. And that's what happens. So taking the news in, and then it's the words used after the fact that then define the narrative. And that is where you have to really be careful. The noise you're hearing in the background is my air conditioning system, because it is hot out and I wasn't going to turn it off. News with a View is a Fat Cat production. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@ John, JOHN, FATKAT, a Fat Cat with, spelled cat with a K. And also, you could go to this week. It's still not up yet. It's not functioning right, but fatcatproduction.com. And it's a nice site. It explains exactly what I like doing. And in today's podcast, I was going to talk about what's happening here locally in South Carolina in Horry County. We've been in the news a lot for mass shootings. We used to call them, drive-bys, and now they call them mass shootings. If more than 2 people get shot, it's a mass shooting event. And we do have, this is a tourist town in the Myrtle Beach area. So it is very important that our town looks safe and be safe and is safe. There's a lot of, shall we say, shenanigans going on in a lot of the beachfront area. Wherever you have a warm climate for more than 9 months out of the year, 8 months out of the year where we have fairly nice weather, you have a lot of transients come in, and they do a lot of local, break into cars, rob an open garage if they come into your neighborhood. Things of that nature. They panhandle. We have just as many panhandlers down here as, New York does per capita. So that is a problem. But the bigger problem that we have down here is drugs and gangs. There is a lot of gang activity here. they don't reach out into the general public other than, selling drugs on streets and, in the major beach areas, because everyone down here is basically armed to the teeth. And you will have a very bad day taking on a lot of people here. You just don't know who's carrying and who's not. And here, of course, and throughout the country, a lot of these are open carries. You don't even need a permit here. You need nothing. You just have to be able to purchase a weapon. Meaning if you're a felon, you can't go in there. Or if there's, a domestic, incident or something where you are forbidden from doing it, you're put on a list. And of course, but it does not stop someone from getting a gun. Nothing. Nothing will stop someone from getting a gun. I don't care what law you have. Nothing will stop that person. They'll find a way. So on April 26th, there was a officer-involved shooting along Myrtle Beach's Oceanfront Boulevard. And the way the article made it sound, it's like 11 people injured, and the 18-year-old gunman was shot dead. And it makes it almost sound like the police shot people. Now, one person was shot, and an alleged innocent bystander was shot and hit by a bullet, and the family of this young man is saying that it was by the police, and the police were reckless in shooting. I think the police did a fine job, and I can understand the family being upset if it was one of my family members that got shot by a policeman, even by accident, but he did stop more people from being shot by this young man. And as tragic as the shooting was for the people, innocent bystanders, and the police who had to take the life of a person, the police really did do their jobs. They were there in seconds of the shooting when it started. So the Myrtle Beach police have been very open about it, as well open as they can be, because remember, this is an investigation, and with any investigation, you can't release stuff unless you are certain about it, and mostly in this times. So the 3 police officers that were involved in the incident have been placed on leave in the aftermath of the shooting. So Mayor Brenda Bethune, who said it was tragic for everyone. It's a tragic event. She said, "This is our home, this is our community, this is not what Myrtle Beach, and this is not what defines us." So the shooter, I think he came from Jarius Davis, was shot and killed, of course, in the 900 block section of Ocean Boulevard. As SLED investigates the shooting, many details remain unanswered, including how many shots were fired. Now, since then, there's been a lot more of the investigation. they're saying that Myrtle Beach police responded in 1.2 seconds because they were right there. It is a very heavily police enforced, and Myrtle Beach has its own police force, not like some other areas where we rely on a county police force and a state police force. So the police officer, in the video, one extra shot is heard after 5 shots. And law enforcement is working to determine where it came from. So they're not saying, that the officer probably, you start off with X amount of bullets in your guns, you got to list that. And you have to list all the ammunition you carry so that it's inventoried after a shooting. You must account for it. So, if you said, well, I only shot 3 times and you're missing 6 bullets, what happened to the other bullets? So this is why you do it. And that's not the case in what's going on here so far that we've been informed of. But an unarmed 17-year-old young man was shot in the back by a Myrtle police officer, and they're saying as they go further, this officer did shoot an innocent bystander in the midst of the chaos and melee that left the Bennettsville man dead. Well, really, I'd fix that article to say that left the shooter from North Carolina dead. Now, this claim was made Monday by National Civil Rights Attorney Bakary Sellers, who said in a news conference release he was representing the victim, identified only as John Doe. Sellers and Flower said they're concerned by the Myrtle Police Department's reluctance to publicly release crucial information about the shooting. Dashcam video of the incident was released May 29th, but O'Rourke's body camera footage has not been issued. Jarius Davis wasn't the only one who recklessly fired into the crowd of people on April 26, Sellers said. Brandon O'Rourke did too, and justice demands we hold him accountable. Now, what this civil rights lawyer is saying is that, yes, the criminal shot into the crowd and the police shot into the crowd. There was a difference. The police did not randomly just shoot into a crowd. The officer in question shot at a suspect who was shooting randomly into a crowd. And in an incident like that, the police shot and killed the shooter, and did the bullet go through him and then hit this young man? Did it miss? And was it a wild shot? But the officer was doing his duty. Had he not shot this individual, could have been many, many more people injured and killed. So, where this civil rights attorney is saying, we demand justice, we also demand that the police stop a shooter. And that doesn't mean shoot everyone around. This was not the case. The officer did hit the suspect, did stop more carnage, and yes, a young man was hit in the aftermath, as were, I think, another person. Yeah, I think there was a woman who said she was shot in the leg or foot. And yeah, well, this is what happens in an active shooting. To say that this was, the police acting recklessly, I mean, that has not been shown to be the case. The officer did his job, and yeah, some people got hurt. The young man is recovering, thank goodness. Who knows if he'll ever be the same again, and I feel for the family. Absolutely, that was one of my family members. I'd want to make sure that, I would want to make sure that the shooting was not an after effect. I see someone running, so I'm going to shoot him. And if that was the case, which is not the case so far as we know it, then this was an accidental shooting in the midst of stopping an active shooter. It's sad, and you wish that didn't happen. And he had 1.2 seconds to make a decision, and he made the decision. And as it turned out, he stopped carnage. They knew that week was going to be a busy week because it used to be called the Atlantic Bike Week Festival. Then it was known as Black Bike Week, which, and then now it's known as something else. But even with the Myrtle Beach, which was the Myrtle's Inlet Bike Week that happened the week before this, the heavy police presence, state, county, local, and you have thousands of motorcycles down here, and most of the problem that happens with any of these rallies are accidents. I don't think there was any shootings or anything, robberies or anything like that during the Myrtle's Inlet Bike Week. I know there were arrests for intoxication and arrests, for fighting and things like that. But you bring 30, 40, 50,000 people into the area, or 20,000 people, how many as they come. Yeah, and alcohol, marijuana is still illegal in the state. And then the week before all this, we had a high-speed police chase through Myrtle Beach. It was for masked teenagers in a stolen vehicle who then, when approached, fled and then started shooting at the police officers as they were driving away. And again, guests from North Carolina during the Atlantic Beach Bike Week. So the two people were arrested. Actually, 4 people were arrested. They let 2 people go. And they only took a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old into custody for that shooting. Weapons violation and using a person under the age of 18 to commit certain crimes. So they used to call that something to do with a minor, corrupting the morals of a minor. So that took place at 8:30 in the morning on a school day, racing through the town, and the police were able to chase them down to North Myrtle Beach, where the vehicle was then in an accident. People ran, but all 4 people were captured, but 2 are not facing charges and were released to state custody. So something along those lines, these people from North Carolina, a judge denied bond for the 2 people charged in the chase turned shooting after emotional hearing. One of the kids just kept laughing and thinking it was a joke. So they put a lot of people in danger. They drove high speed, they wrecked a car, they shot, just randomly shooting out of the back of a car, like, a Bonnie and Clyde movie. So Mr. Glass continued to laugh and thought it was a big joke. And they said, not in Myrtle Beach, not in Horry County, not in our state. And denied bond. You're not getting out. And, of course, Mr. Glass had an extensive criminal record in North Carolina and is wanted on drug-related charges in the Tar Heel State. And Glass waived his right to extradition to North Carolina on that charge. Yeah, he wants to get out of South Carolina. South Carolina is not going to release him. We will release him after he serves his 50 years. Then you can have him. So, also in that week during Atlantic Bike Week, in Little River, which is part of Myrtle Beach, it's near the North Carolina border, a 19-year-old has been taken into custody in Illinois, and authorities say they plan to charge him in the shooting that hurt 11 people after a party boat cruise in South Carolina. Mr. Williams, 19, worked as a Navy hull maintenance technician seaman assigned to the Great Lake area. So he was in town, decided to shoot it up a bit at a dock. And again, this is not about gun control or anything like that, because anyone can get a gun. And I'd say 99% of the people that own guns own them legally. They have a legal right to possess a gun and acquired them legally. But you have a percentage of people out there that are felons or whatever, and they're not allowed to have guns. They can't have them. Sorry, I knocked that off when I was doing my earlier show. And so they're not allowed to have guns. the fact that this guy was even out and was wanted, and they know who these people are. They just don't want to go get them. You know, the courts are overcrowded. You have people that say, well, we're being, you know, because of our race, we're being prosecuted and persecuted. And that's not the case. Now, the case of the young man who got shot in the back, who had allegedly nothing to do with any of the riffraff that was going on, he was just an innocent bystander, allegedly. And, you know, got caught in the crossfire. And it's sad, but that happens. In this case, there are two people involved in that shooting. And 11 people were wounded in that shooting. So at first they said 10 people were wounded by gunfire, mostly on the lower parts of the body. All right, I don't care where you get hit, you know, you got shot. And one person was hurt by a falling speaker. So, you know, people running, boom, something hit him. So you had 11 people injured because that person wouldn't have run into a speaker unless there was a commotion going on. So I put him in the mix. And then May 14th, a third suspect is now in custody for a violent assault in the Myrtle Beach area. So, Emil Kennedy was arrested in Little River on Tuesday on attempted murder and assault and battery by mob charges. So here, if you act in a group and you get into a fight, there's other charges that go on top of that because you were part of a mob. And the victim was found severely beaten inside a garage and covered in blood. Warrants state Kennedy punched the victim several times in the head and also stabbed the person twice. So it just wasn't, you know, I'm going to give you some parting hits here, and, you know, you're going to remember this. This is, I'm going to beat you, and then, for good measure, I'm going to stab you. And so, you know, he was trying to kill him. So two other people were arrested in the case already. There was, they didn't say what provoked these incidents, but these incidents were very high profile events. And events that don't normally happen in our area. And we do have crime, and we do have, I mean, serious crime. Murders, robberies. They're in the fringe areas, as I call them, but we've had murders of people just walking to their cars in, you know, shopping centers, Targets, and or people that are just found shot in their cars. And a lot of these murders go unsolved. A lot of these murders go unsolved. And they get pushed to the side, and the news doesn't cover it because it's just another murder. It's just another assault. And they'll cover it, and there'll be some backlash. And unless it's someone going after another person, you did that because I'm this. You never hear of it again. You just don't hear it. they, there is probably not enough resources for this area for the police to do that. The policemen here are dedicated, and I've never ran into a police officer here, sheriff, state trooper, county, where it was anything but a cordial interaction. I get pulled over. They ask for my license and registration and my insurance. Is this you, sir? Yes, it is. Oh. You know why I pulled you over? Nope. I lost my ability to read minds when I got married. Ha 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 ha, yeah, okay. I clocked your 45 in a 30. So you know why I'm stopping you. Did you know how fast you were going? Nope. All right, so you were inattentive. Yeah. Boop. Stop talking at that point. Thank you. They do the check. They come back. And I've had it on multiple occasions where they've, checked you and go, hey, listen, keep it slow. All right. Yeah, I'll try. Can't always promise you that, but I'll try, and thank you, and you have a safe day. Boom, that's it. Gone. I have not run into an officer that has told me to get out of the car. We're going to demand this of you. Do you have drugs in your car? I have been asked, stopped at 2 a.m, driving, back from New York, driving down to South Carolina, in my county, where I get pulled over and they go, where are you coming from? That way. Oh, where are you going to? That way. Well, have you been drinking tonight? Yep. I drank a lot. Man, did I drink. And I go, now, finish the question. Were you drinking alcohol? No. Lots of soda. Sweet tea. All right, you're going to be wise ass. Well, no, you asked the question. And here's the question. Why are you detaining me? Well, I saw you squiggle a little bit, and and you take a look at that road? And then, okay, boom, and that's it. But that's about the most confrontational. Now, of course, I'm a fat old white guy. And I've gotten pulled over in Maryland at, again, I think it was like 1:30 in the morning. We had left, my wife and I left the casino. And we didn't play there. We wanted to eat in that steakhouse. They have a very good steakhouse there. And I pull out, and I had to get all the way over to the right lane because the 3 other lanes all were mandatory to make a left at the light. And I didn't know that, so I got out there and I had to jiggle. I used my signal and I got over there, and all of a sudden I see blue lights, and I go, oh, police got someone. And I go, oh, they're right behind me. Police got me. Boom, pull over. And the sheriff comes out, deputy, and goes, you know why I'm stopping you? I said, I have no idea. And he goes, well, you pulled out, and then you quickly moved into that right lane. And I go, well, yeah, because when I pulled out, it didn't say these 3 lanes must turn left at the light. I saw the arrows, and I put my signal on. I moved into the right lane. And he goes, well, I saw you pull out of the casino. And I was like, yeah, okay. And he goes, well, you're in a pickup truck. It's 1:30 in the morning. It's a Friday. You got a girl in the front. You know. And I'm like, really? That's your profiling? I said, the only way that could get worse, deputy, is if you were to tell me I was black. And he looked and he goes, well, I know, I could see you have not been drinking, sir. And I go, was this what I was stopped for? And he goes, no, I just saw you, move over like that. And I said, I scooched over. And he goes, what? And I go, scooched. It's like a Yiddish term to scooch over. And he goes, yeah, right. I pulled you over. I'm mandated to run your name, your truck, everything. Right? At this point, I go, I don't know if you're mandated because you pulled me over for drinking, and you saw that I'm not drinking, and you don't really have a case here to look at my ID any further than you did. But he did, and he came back and he just said, hey, have a good evening, thank you. But you have to know your rights, and I have no problems with people exercising their rights. Biggest rights you should exercise when stopped. And mostly if you know you're wrong, or you did something that you shouldn't be doing. Always, always, always exercise your constitutional rights. They protect the innocent, they protect the guilty. But it's your rights. And you have a right to give your rights away. Don't give your rights away. If you're in a car and you're stopped, and you know you've done something wrong, you know you did something wrong, other than a speeding violation, or you turned, or you didn't use your signal, something along those ways. It's not going to escalate as long as you don't escalate it. The worst that happens is you get a ticket. You go to court. And I didn't. I just was thinking of getting home, but no, I'm guilty. And but can we make it not a moving violation? Help me out here. And they might look and they go, you clean record and everything like that. Yeah, all right. We'll put this here, and that's what you're going to plead to. And that's it. But if you have been drinking, or you have drugs in your vehicle, or you robbed a bank, I would recommend to you that you exercise your Fourth and Fifth Amendment right off the bat. Other than you must comply to the police on your pedigree. And when I say pedigree, not like a dog, but close enough to it. You must say who you are, give your address, your age, and it must be truthful. At that point, they can go from there. And at that point, you go, that's it. I'm exercising my Fourth and my Fifth Amendment rights. The Fourth Amendment stops them from searching your vehicle until they get a warrant, or they have a good enough suspicion. And when I say good enough suspicion, they see a gun laying on the back seat. They see drugs, a heavy presence of the smell of drugs. They bring a drug dog or a gun dog, and the dog is sniffing, and they're saying, "Do you have any weapons in this vehicle?" Because you're allowed to have them, as long as you're not a felon. Do you have any weapons in this? No, no. And they go in there and they find, 2 guns. Oh, they're not mine. Well, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time. You could also take the approach to, yeah, I have a joint in here. I have a gun. I'm not a felon, but I do have a gun in here. I would always tell the police if I have a weapon in the vehicle. Even if it's locked up, I would tell them immediately, officer, here's my information, but I'm informing you at this point that I do have a weapon in the vehicle. It is secured, it's locked up, but there is a weapon in the vehicle. How would you like me to proceed? And in that event, you're taken out of the vehicle and you might be restrained. And you're not under arrest, but the officer is allowed to restrain you for his safety and yours. If he would make a sudden move just out of like, hey, don't do it, and the cop doesn't know you're reaching for a gun, you just said you had a weapon, and he shoots you. So there's lots of reasons why the police have the right to restrain you. But if you did something wrong, and you did something wrong, and you get stopped, 4th and 5th. Because at that point, the police are forced to go through the steps. If you are pulled over and are drunk, do not take a sobriety test, a field sobriety test. No one, drunk or not, will ever pass that. They're meant to fit. But if you do decide that I will take a non-breathalyzer test, and the officer goes, well, I'm going to have you follow this, and you show me the whole test. Show me what I have to do. He has to show you. Because what happens if he makes a mistake in that presentation, which happens a lot, or he stumbles and falls, or he does something, yeah, you can then, if you do it and you fail, they go, well, that he showed you wrong. That's not how you do that. Of course you were going to fail. Of course no one can do that. Look, he tripped, or he, moved his foot funny. But I would recommend, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not giving legal advice here to you, other than the fact that if it were me, I exercise my 4th and 5th. I will not take a breathalyzer or a field sobriety test, unless ordered to. Now, when they bring you into the station, then that becomes a little bit different. But taking the 4th and 5th automatically says you can't, if you're going to take blood from me, it's got to be through a court order. If you're going to make me blow into something, that might have to be a court order in certain states. And what you try to do is run that clock down, because it's the best thing for you. And a lawyer can protect you further. Listen, my client, he knew that to take his 4th Amendments and 5th Amendment rights. How drunk was he? You're saying he's drunk. Or you pull over into an area and the police go, you know, always pull over into a safe area. You do not have to pull over, put your flashers on to show that you recognize that he is behind you, and you pull over into a safe area. And the police officer might, hey, why didn't you pull over? Well, I was trying to get into a safe area. Now that plays a lot, because the police would go, yeah, okay, I followed him over to here. Well, where did he follow? Well, he pulled into a gas station parking lot. You know, so he didn't pull over in the street. He didn't stop his car in the middle of the road. He didn't. So he was responsible. He did a responsible thing for protecting himself and you. Nice lit area. So it doesn't sound like someone who's impaired to me. So there's a lot of reasons why. Like this civil rights attorney is going into, you know, and asking questions. Jarvis Davis wasn't the only one who was recklessly fired into a crowd. Now, that's a little, you know, that's a little bit much. But no one was indiscriminately shooting. The police were not indiscriminately shooting. They were shooting at a active shooter. And like I said, unless in that case the Boulevard shooting, where the police said, "Oh, I see someone running," bang. Yeah, then that officer could be in a lot of trouble. But in the course of the bang, 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 and one of those bullets went that way instead of that way, that's not going to be reckless. That's going to be, yeah, stuff happens. So, and that's what's happening in the Myrtle Beach area. A lot of police news. Not something normal that I would report on, because I normally report on national issues. And things that make common sense reasons on why it would be argued by the Democrats or why it would be argued by the Republicans. And then if it's common sense, why is the other group fighting it? You know, so in national news that I'll touch on, and I will do a show on that probably tomorrow, will be that the president has asked the Supreme Court to step in and allow him to fire VA workers. And a lot of people that you know, strikes at something where, you know, it's against the veterans, but there is so much fraud and misuse going on in these programs that were set up that the veterans are not being helped. That's why we have homeless veterans. That's why we have veterans that can't get into facilities that need to be in facilities, because 40% of the money is going out the door, never to be, I gotta watch it, never to be seen from or heard from or used in the manner which it was supposed to be used. So, and that includes people, and go at it, President Trump. It makes sense. A lot of these programs that he's cutting make sense. I would not have done it in the manner that he did it, is doing it, but you also have to realize that he can't come out and say, I want to cut 40% or 50%, because the Democrats, just like the Republicans, would be all over that president saying, that's ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. Show us the waste, show us this, and it would never happen. So Trump learned from his first term how to become a politician. Strike fast, strike hard. And he's going in there like Department of Labor, Department of Education. And he's gutting them. Gutting them. Because they just weren't working. You think our education department is doing a great job? Yeah, Let it go down to the county levels. Let it go down to the local levels. Let them decide. Not, someone in Washington that's saying Billy should know all the body parts on Bobby. And if Johnny wants to say his name is Susie, he should be able to. You think that's what school's about? You went to school. I went to school when they put you in the corner. You did something wrong. Didn't have the dunce hat. Not that I can remember. Maybe in like first grade or second grade they made you wear that. And they broke you. They broke you. But that was, you had to fit to the system norm or you were going to be singled out. And you don't want to be singled out. You want to be part of the crowd, baby. But it shaped you to say, hey, I have to, I can't do certain things and not think there's not going to be any consequences. So President Trump went to the Supreme Court. So President Trump is going to go to the Supreme Court on his tariffs, which he's already got to stay on that. And personally speaking, the district judges need to be out of the executive branch and not interfere. Doesn't mean you don't have a right to go in and question and check the validity of an action, but you just can't stop it because you're not happy with it. All right, with that, I'm going to say, as I do in all the ending of my shows, is first, thank you. This will be edited where I put up some graphics and things for later on for people who want to catch this. And then I always say a prayer. Prayer works. It does. If you can give to a charity, give to a charity. But go to that charity. Don't have that charity come to you. Don't become a victim helping a victim. Donate to a local food bank if you can do it. How great if 500 people every week gave 4 cans of food to food banks just in their little 5-mile area. 2,000 extra cans of food. And 4 cans of food to you won't change your life, but 4 cans of food to someone else might change their lives. Let's think about it. Danielle, Paul, Christopher, Rowan, Cannoli. Have a good one. This will go up later today. Joey, Sammy, if you're watching, which I don't know why you would. Hello. To my family out there that's screaming at a screen right now or later on, and they do yell. Yeah, tough. And with that, I hope you guys, if anyone who's watching, that I just put this up on my neighborhood little bulletin board, you continue. And The next live one, I might have a call-in. Right now, I did not put up chat or anything like that. I have enough monitors around me that, this is a TV production. And I'm not a journalist. I've never done anything like that. I hardly read a newspaper as a kid. The comics, maybe. I never did a jumble. Though I'm good at them. I'm good at them now. Crypto? Well, you do the crypto. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. But I did work in television for years. So I know a little about television. This ain't it. But, this I do fun. This is not a monetized channel. Not yet. Maybe one day it will, but not yet. I just like hearing myself. Who doesn't? Come on. Come on. And my best buddy Bob in New York, who is a uber liberal. I miss you, Bob. Oh, we'd have laughs and jokes, and we'd call each other horrible names and laugh. But a lot of good exchanges. All right, with that, I'm going to say good night, goodbye, as I fade to black.